This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Addressing the needs of learners with disabilities or disadvantages is a challenging task, as the process of accommodating the needs above may become extremely intricate. Since special needs learners are often unable to communicate their needs directly, the process of locating the subject matter often turns into guesswork. Herein lies the necessity to identify a proper theoretical framework that will, later on, serve as the foundation for building an efficient teaching strategy. For these purposes, three primary theories need to be viewed as the foundation of the teaching philosophy, since they provide the background for the teacher to locate the student's needs and for the learners to bloom as explorers and attain the corresponding academic skills. As suggested by Howard Gardner in the 1980s, the theory of multiple intelligences subverted the traditional notion of measuring people's mental abilities merely by applying an IQ test. According to the foundations of the framework under analysis, the general notion of intelligence is composed of a variety of elements, including the following: linguistic, logical mathematic, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalist intelligence. The significance of the multiple intelligence (MI) theory can hardly be underrated when it comes to locating the strategy for teaching students with disabilities. However, by far the greatest advantage of the theory in question concerns the fact that it compels the teacher to focus on the student's unique abilities and talents as opposed to their limitations. Moreover, the MI theory must promote the incorporation of technological advances into the learning process. The use of IT devices creates premises for engaging learners into being active and encouraging them to participate in classroom activities, including individual and group assignments. Researchers point to the fact that the theoretical framework under analysis, though being a comparatively recent incorporation into the current set of theories of teaching students with disabilities, has already warranted application in the corresponding setting. Therefore, though having a very short history and gained wide popularity only in the 1980s, the theoretical approach of multiple intelligences has defined the further course of the development of the target educational setting. Unfortunately, the adoption of the MI theory as the primary means of teaching learners with disabilities basic skills remains hypothetical for the most part, the key reason being the lack of financial resources for supplying the necessary devices to all learners with disabilities on the statewide scale. While it is unlikely to affect the curriculum significantly, it will provide teachers with the tools that will enable them to promote active knowledge acquisition among learners. Another viable theory that can be used as the basis for encouraging special needs students to develop academic skills, Vygotsky's framework, needs to be brought up as the primary tool for addressing the target learner's needs. Arguably a rather ancient framework compared to the latest innovative solutions in the environment of special education, it still helps identify the needs of learners with disadvantages. Whereas it is not as groundbreaking as the MI approach, since Vygotsky's philosophy does not lead to the recognition of the unique talents of children with special needs, the approach under analysis, nonetheless, serves as a decent foil for inviting learners to participate and prompting their enthusiasm toward the process of knowledge and skills acquisition. The efficacy of the theory under analysis is explained from the perspective of the concept that is known nowadays as the zone of proximal development. Typically identified as the area between the range of activities that a learner can carry out without being assisted by an instructor and the ones that require the help of the teacher, the identified concept can be viewed as the foundation for training new skills with the help of scaffolding. Researchers point to the fact that the concept of scaffolding, or an instructed accomplishment of specific tasks and academic goals, should be seen as the primary means for learners with disabilities or disadvantages to develop the necessary academic independence. For instance, Radford, Bonsaké, Webster, and Blatchford assert that, by scaffolding learners with special needs, teachers perform the support role, which is especially important because it includes features associated with how to keep children on task, motivated, and with reduced frustration. Therefore, the application of Vygotsky's framework also defines the academic success of learners with disabilities. It could be argued that, though Vygotsky does not spell out the significance of academic independence in the target environment, he still incorporates the concept into the teaching approach, as the scaffolding process helps learners become self-reliant and, thus, develop the qualities that they will need to become self-sufficient in the learning process. The above properties of the theory are the key reasons why it defines the current curriculum in most schools. Last but not least, the theory suggested by Albert Bandura needs to be brought up. The framework under analysis, commonly known as the social learning theory, SLT, puts a very strong emphasis on the social interactions of the students as opposed to the focus on their academic achievements. While seemingly contradictory to the primary objectives of a teacher, the above framework can be deemed exemplary in terms of meeting the needs of students with disabilities. Indeed, a closer look at the target demographic will show that they lack the environment in which they will be capable of developing their social skills. Because the communication issue is the primary concern for the students above, it is strongly advised that the tenets of the SLT should be applied to the current educational setting so that the students with special needs could become an integral part of society and communicate with its members successfully. While the significance of SLT is not currently emphasized in the educational context to the point where it affects the curriculum, it still plays a significant part in shaping the teacher's approach to learners. Therefore, claiming that the theory does not affect the current curriculum would be quite a stretch. Nevertheless, seeing how important social interactions are for students with special needs, the urgency of incorporating the SLT concept into the present-day curriculum needs to be brought up. Creating an environment that can be deemed favorable for students with special needs is a very difficult task. To make sure that every single learner receives the support that they need, one will have to come up with an approach that will help teach the learner the necessary skills and provide them with the information that will serve as the foundation for further independent learning. The combination of the MI concept, Vygotsky's framework, and the SLT is bound to create the necessary setting for accomplishing the above goal. This research paper on leading theories for special education, Synopsis, and a comparative analysis was written and submitted by a student just like you. The IvyPanda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for.